The Galactic Council chamber was built to impress. Its walls curved like a star shell, glowing with light from 1,000 suns. Every seat was taken by powerful beings from across the galaxy. They had ruled space for a very long time. New species came here to beg, trade, or fear them. On this cycle, a new name appeared on the screen. Humans. The word caused no reaction. No whispers. No interest. The council continued talking about wars, borders, and resources as if the name did not exist. Humans arrived in the galaxy without noise. Their ships were small compared to the massive fleets of the great empires. They did not show weapons. They did not show power. Their vessels moved slowly and followed every rule of galactic law. To the council, this meant only one thing: weak. Another small species hoping to survive by being polite. The record keepers placed humanity's file at the bottom of the list. No one argued. A junior observer looked at the human ships on a side screen. They were strange. Clean. Too simple. No bright colors. No sharp edges. Just smooth metal and quiet engines. The observer leaned forward, curious. "They hide something," he said softly. The senior council member beside him did not even turn his head. "All small species hide dreams," the elder replied. "They fade quickly. Humans requested limited trade rights, basic materials, safe travel lanes. Nothing more." Their message was calm and respectful. The council approved it in seconds. No debate. No conditions. To them, humans were harmless. The galaxy was full of harmless species that disappeared within a century. On the outer edge of the chamber, an ancient delegate watched in silence. His kind had seen civilizations rise and fall before the council even existed. He studied the human data longer than anyone else. There were gaps. Too many gaps. Earth had a long history, but most records were sealed. Technologies were listed as civilian grade, yet energy readings suggested more. When the human ships entered known space, several deep scanners went offline for a moment. Only a moment. But moments mattered. The ancient delegate spoke. His voice was low and slow. "You should look again." The council leader finally glanced at the human display. "At what?" he asked. "They bring nothing. They threaten nothing." The Ancient One did not answer. He only watched as the human ships drifted past the great fleets without stopping. Humans did not build large stations. They built small ones and placed them far apart. They did not join alliances. They observed. Their diplomats smiled and listened more than they spoke. Other species ignored them. Some mocked them. A minor trade empire once delayed a human shipment on purpose, just to test them. The humans filed a complaint and waited. Nothing more. The trade empire laughed. What no one noticed was what humans did while waiting. Their ships recorded everything. Fleet patterns. Weapon charge times. Communication delays. Weak points in shields. Every insult was measured. Every delay was logged. Humans did not respond with anger. They responded with silence and data. Far from the council, beyond mapped space, something old listened. A signal moved through the dark, hidden inside normal human communications. It was slow and careful. It did not announce itself. It only said one thing: "They still do not see us." The reply came much later. "Good. Continue." Back in the council chamber, the topic had already changed. A border war needed attention. A rebellion was growing. Humanity vanished from the discussion as easily as it had entered. The junior observer felt uneasy. He looked again at the human ships. One of them had changed course slightly. Just slightly. It aligned with a distant star that did not exist on official maps. The observer reported this. His report was marked low priority. Then it disappeared. He tried again. The system rejected it. Confused, he checked the logs. Someone had overwritten his access. No name. No trace. Fear crawled into his thoughts. He told no one. On a human station, Orbiting a quiet yellow star, a group of men and women stood in a dark room. Screens showed the council chamber from multiple angles. Audio played softly. The humans watched their own dismissal with calm faces. One of them spoke. Phase 1 complete. Another nodded. No recognition. No threat assessment. A third added, they are comfortable. The leader of the group looked at the stars beyond the screen. Comfort makes them blind, he said. We stay quiet. No one argued. Humans had learned long ago that showing power too early only united enemies. Silence kept them divided. Silence kept them careless. As the cycle ended, the council lights dimmed. The great powers left, confident and proud. Humanity was not even a footnote in their plans. Yet deep in space, engines older than empires began to warm. Not fast. Not loud. Just enough to be ready. The galaxy slept peacefully that night. It did not know it had already made its first mistake. The decision to research humanity came quietly and too late. A mid-level analyst from the Threxian Union noticed that human trade numbers did not match their listed technology level. Small ships moved large amounts of refined material with strange efficiency. The analyst opened the human data archives, expecting simple records and short history. Instead, he found walls of red symbols. Access denied. Entire centuries of human development were sealed. This was unusual. Only ancient empires hid information at that level. He requested deeper access through official channels. The system delayed his request, then returned a blank response. No approval. No rejection. Just silence. The analyst felt a cold sense of wrongness. Galactic systems always replied, even when they said no. He copied what little open data existed and began comparing it to sensor readings collected from trade lanes. The numbers did not align. Human engines produced more power than required. Their ships ran cooler than physics allowed. Other analysts laughed when he shared his concerns. They are efficient, one said. Nothing more. Another joked that humans were probably lucky mechanics. The analyst did not laugh. He had seen luck before. It never repeated this cleanly. He continued his work alone, tracking human movement across the galaxy. Patterns formed. Humans avoided conflict zones. They avoided major powers. But they never avoided observation posts. It was as if they wanted to be seen in specific ways. A scout vessel from the Loran Compact was sent to observe a human convoy passing near an unclaimed system. The mission was routine. Scan the ships. Record data. Leave. The scout pilot approached slowly, careful not to provoke. Human ships did not react. They maintained course. Scanners activated. For 3 seconds, the scout systems overloaded. Not violently. Just enough to shut down. When power returned, the convoy was gone. No jump signatures. No energy spikes. Empty space. The pilot reported the incident. The report was flagged as sensor error. The pilot protested. He had flown for 200 cycles. He knew error. His protest vanished from the system logs. His flight record was quietly downgraded. He was reassigned to a distant patrol. No explanation given. Whispers began among minor species. Traders spoke of human routes that never intersected with pirate attacks. Smugglers said human cargo always arrived early. Explorers noticed that stars mapped by humans later showed strange gravitational stability. No one could prove anything. Proof required access. Access did not exist. The ancient delegate from the council requested a private meeting with the archivists. He asked for the human core files. The archivists tried. Their terminals froze. Then reset. The files remained locked. One archivist whispered, "Only founding species can seal data like this." The delegate felt something close to fear. Humans were not listed as founders. Yet the seal was older than the council itself. He sent a warning to the council leadership. It was marked as advisory, then reduced to informational, then archived. The galaxy had no patience for caution when comfort ruled. On a distant human research vessel, a quiet alarm sounded. A woman looked at the screen and smiled faintly. "They are looking," she said. Another replied, "Not hard enough." Data streams shifted. False histories were adjusted. Old wars were blurred. True records moved deeper, beyond normal space networks. Humans had learned long ago that information was the first battlefield. The Threxian analyst felt watched. His access terminal lagged when he searched human data. His messages sent slower than usual. One night, he dreamed of empty stars and silent ships. When he woke, a message waited. No sender. No language marker. Just a simple line translated perfectly. "You should stop." He did not. Instead, he followed a human ship beyond its listed destination. His small craft stayed far back, hiding behind debris fields. The human ship slowed near a dead system. No planets. No stations. Just a cold star. The ship stopped. Space folded. For a brief moment, the analyst saw something impossible. A structure larger than a moon, hidden inside nothing. Then it vanished. His systems failed. When they returned, he was drifting. The human ship was gone. His memory logs were damaged. Only fragments remained. Enough to haunt him. He sent what he could to the Union. The message reached them incomplete. The response was clear. Cease investigation. Back in the council space, humanity continued to trade and smile. They attended meetings and said little. They agreed with everything. They promised nothing. To the galaxy, they were still small, still quiet, still unimportant. Far beyond known space, ancient engines adjusted their position. Human command nodes woke briefly, then slept again. A single status line updated across hidden networks. Observation confirmed. Containment holding. The galaxy believed it was watching humanity. In truth, humanity was watching the galaxy, and it was learning quickly. The insult was delivered in public, where pride mattered most. During a routine trade summit, a representative of the Varkesh Dominion mocked humanity openly. He laughed at their small fleets, their quiet nature, and their refusal to claim territory. "You drift through the galaxy like ghosts," he said. "No strength. No voice. No future." The chamber echoed with amusement. Cameras recorded every moment. Humans stood still and listened. They did not answer. The silence confused some and pleased others. The Varkesh representative leaned closer, enjoying the attention. He announced new tariffs on all human trade routes passing through Dominion space. The act violated minor agreements, but no one challenged it. The Dominion was powerful. Humans were not. The Council noted the decision and moved on. News of the insult spread fast. Across the galaxy, commentators repeated the words. Ghosts. No future. Small species laughed nervously. Large empires ignored the issue. Humanity, once again, was dismissed. Human diplomats responded with a short message. "We acknowledge your statement." Nothing more. Varkesh patrols began stopping human ships. They delayed inspections. They scanned cargo for hours. They searched crews with unnecessary force. Humans complied every time. They documented each encounter carefully. Dates, names, locations, reaction times. The Dominion saw obedience and mistook it for fear. A Varkesh commander grew bold. He ordered the seizure of a human supply vessel near a fringe system. The ship was lightly armed and did not resist. Its crew was taken for questioning. The event was broadcast quietly as a lesson. "This is how the weak are treated," the commander said. Human response came slowly. A request for crew return. A legal appeal. A calm reminder of shared trade law. The Dominion delayed every reply. The Council showed no interest. To them, this was normal behavior. Strong powers tested weak ones. It was how the galaxy worked. What no one saw was the change within human networks. Messages shifted tone. Old protocols surfaced. Long-unused systems powered on in distant places. A single phrase appeared in multiple secure channels. Protocol Dawn. It had not been activated in generations. On a human world far from Earth, a council of commanders gathered. Their faces were calm, but the air felt heavy. A woman spoke first. They crossed a line. A man beside her nodded. Yes, but the galaxy is still asleep. Another voice answered. Then we move carefully. They reviewed the data. Every delay. Every insult. Every violation. The humans had not forgotten their own past. They remembered how fast fear spread. How quickly alliances formed against visible threats. This time, they would not roar. They would whisper. The seized human crew sat in a Varkesh holding station. They were treated harshly but not harmed. Their calm unsettled the guards. One asked why they did not beg. A human answered simply, "It is not time." The guard laughed, uneasy. Without warning, the station systems began to fail. Lights dimmed. Communications lagged. No alarms sounded. It felt like decay, not attack. Engineers worked frantically. They found nothing wrong. Then the holding cells unlocked. Doors slid open. The human crew walked out, unchallenged. Cameras showed guards frozen in place, conscious but unable to move. By the time control returned, the humans were gone. No ships were detected leaving. No energy spikes recorded. The Dominion blamed internal failure. The commander responsible was reprimanded quietly. The incident never reached public channels. The Varkesh representative returned to the council days later, confident as ever. He spoke of order and strength. Humans stood nearby, silent. For a brief moment, the representative felt watched. The feeling passed. In deep space, far beyond Dominion reach, a human vessel transmitted a short message through hidden relays. Crew recovered. No exposure. The reply was immediate. Continue restraint. Somewhere in the galaxy, an old sensor picked up a ripple that should not exist. It was small, precise, then gone. The record was flagged and buried. The ancient delegate watched the humans as they left the chamber. He noticed something new. Their silence was no longer passive. It was deliberate, controlled, like a breath held before movement. The galaxy celebrated another peaceful cycle. Trade continued. Borders held. Humanity remained ignored. Yet in the dark spaces between stars, long-dormant systems adjusted their focus. The sleeping giant had stirred, just enough to test its balance. The attack did not begin with a declaration of war. It began with a mistake. A Varkesh strike group entered a quiet system listed as low value. No major resources. No strategic stations. Only a small human outpost orbiting a barren moon. The Dominion commander saw an opportunity. A show of force without consequence. He ordered the fleet to engage and record everything. The galaxy would see what happened when a weak species was tested. The outpost was small and old by galactic standards. No visible weapons. Minimal shields. Its power signature was steady and low. The Varkesh fleet surrounded it easily. A transmission was sent, demanding surrender and access. The human outpost replied with a single sentence. "This location is not important." The commander laughed. He gave the order to fire. Energy weapons struck the station. Shields flared once, then vanished. Hull sections broke apart. Fires spread across the surface. The Varkesh sensors showed damage climbing fast. No return fire. No distress calls. The commander felt satisfied. This was how power worked. Then the outpost did something unexpected. Instead of collapsing, it began to glow. Not bright. Not violent. Just a deep, steady light spreading through its structure. Internal readings spiked for a brief moment, then dropped to zero. The station did not explode. It folded inward, collapsing into a point and disappearing completely. No debris. No wreckage. Just empty space where it had been. The Varkesh fleet hesitated. This was not normal destruction. Sensors scanned the area again and again. Nothing remained. The commander ordered a full sweep. That was when the first warning came. Long-range sensors detected multiple contacts waking across the system. Not arriving. Waking. Space around the fleet shifted. Points of light appeared where nothing had been before. Human ships emerged without jump signatures, without energy trails. They were not large, but there were many. Hundreds. Then thousands. They held position, silent and still. The Varkesh commander demanded identification. No response came. He ordered weapons charged. The human ships did not move. The commander fired a single volley. The shots vanished mid-flight, as if swallowed by space. Panic spread through the fleet. Systems began to lag. Targeting failed. Communications fractured into echoes. The human ships advanced slowly. Not attacking. Just closing distance. Pressure built inside the Varkesh hulls as gravity shifted unpredictably. Then the human ships vanished again. Every one of them. The system returned to normal in seconds. The Varkesh fleet was left intact but shaken. No damage. No losses. Just fear. The commander ordered an immediate retreat. As the fleet jumped out, a message appeared on every screen. No symbols. No threat. Just a calm human voice. This was a warning. Back in Dominion space, reports were filed in emergency channels. Most were downgraded. Some were erased. The official record stated that a human outpost had been destroyed and no resistance was encountered. The commander disagreed, but his objections were buried. His fleet was reassigned. He was removed from frontline duty. The council heard nothing of the encounter. They continued to debate borders and tariffs. Humanity's name did not appear in the session summary. On a human world, commanders reviewed the event. The outpost loss was expected. It had served its purpose. Data gathered was extensive. Varkesh response times. Weapon behavior. Psychological thresholds. One officer spoke quietly. They will try again. Another replied, yes. Louder next time. Protocol Dawn remained active but limited. No open conflict. No declarations. Humans had shown just enough to be remembered by those involved, and forgotten by everyone else. Far from the system, the ancient delegate felt a disturbance ripple through old sensors tied to his species' past. He closed his eyes and remembered a warning carved into stone long ago. Never wake what pretends to sleep. The galaxy went on believing it had crushed a weak outpost. In truth, it had knocked on a door and been allowed to walk away. The galaxy did not react to the incident the way humans expected. There was no outrage. No emergency session. No united response. The destruction of the human outpost was recorded as a minor border action, barely worth a footnote. The Varkesh Dominion moved on, confident that their display of force had ended the matter. To them, silence meant surrender. To humanity, it meant confirmation. Trade lanes reopened. Human ships returned to their quiet routes. They carried the same cargo, followed the same laws, and showed the same calm behavior. Other species saw this and relaxed. Whatever strange sensor errors had occurred were forgotten. The galaxy preferred simple explanations. Humans were weak. The incident was over. But beneath the surface, something had changed. Human fleets that once stayed dormant began to reposition. Not mass movement. Just small adjustments. A ship here. A station there. Always within legal boundaries. Always unremarkable. To most sensors, nothing unusual appeared. Varkesh commanders, however, felt uneasy. Patrol reports showed human ships passing through systems that should have been unsafe. Pirate zones went quiet whenever humans traveled nearby. Communication interference spiked briefly and vanished. These reports reached Dominion Command and were labeled coincidence. The Dominion had already decided the outcome. Weak species did not become threats overnight. A junior Varkesh officer disagreed. He reviewed old combat data from the outpost attack. He noticed something that others missed. Human ships had never been targeted directly. They had appeared, advanced, and vanished without engaging. It was not defense. It was measurement. The officer sent his findings up the chain. The message returned with a warning to focus on approved objectives. Across the galaxy, smaller powers began to notice changes. Trade routes shifted subtly in favor of humans. Deals once denied were suddenly approved without explanation. Human representatives remained polite, quiet, and patient. They asked for nothing new. They did not threaten. Yet outcomes increasingly favored them. On a hidden human command node, analysts watched the galaxy respond. Confidence levels among major empires remained high. Fear levels remained low. One analyst spoke. "They still believe we are passive." Another replied, "Then we maintain the pattern." A single human ship entered Varkesh space alone. It requested standard passage. The Dominion allowed it, confident and curious. Patrols shadowed it closely. The ship followed every rule. It made no sudden moves. It did not react to intimidation. Then, without warning, Varkesh early warning systems across 3 sectors went offline for 12 seconds. No alarms. No alerts. When systems returned, everything appeared normal. The human ship continued on its path. Dominion Command blamed a network glitch. Engineers could find no cause. Those 12 seconds mattered. In that time, human systems mapped every defense grid, every response delay, every manual override. It was enough. The human ship exited Dominion space without incident. No protest was filed. No explanation given. In the council chamber, the ancient delegate requested the floor again. He spoke carefully. "We should reconsider our assessment of humanity." The council leader sighed. "Based on what?" The delegate paused. "Based on absence." The chamber laughed softly. The leader dismissed the concern. "You see shadows where there are none." The delegate fell silent. He had seen this before. Empires ignored warnings until warnings became history. On a human world, a long-range relay activated. A message spread across hidden channels. Phase 2 complete. Visibility unchanged. A reply followed. Proceed to patience. The Varkesh Dominion prepared a larger exercise near human trade space. Officially, it was a drill. Unofficially, it was meant as intimidation. Fleets gathered. Weapons charged. Human traders were advised to reroute. They did not. As the exercise began, Dominion ships experienced minor failures. Thrusters misfired. Weapon charge cycles delayed. Navigation markers drifted. Nothing severe. Nothing provable. The drill continued, but confidence eroded. At the peak of the exercise, a human transmission appeared on Dominion command channels. It was brief. "We observe your maneuvers." Nothing else followed. The message unsettled the commanders more than threats ever had. It confirmed what they feared but could not prove. They were no longer alone in their own space. When the exercise ended, the Dominion declared success. Publicly, nothing had gone wrong. Privately, reports stacked up. Analysts whispered of patterns, of control, of an enemy that did not need to fight. Far beyond known space, ancient human fleets adjusted their orbit once more. Not to attack. Not yet. Just to be closer. The galaxy still believed humanity was barely worth noticing. But in quiet offices and dark command rooms, a new thought had begun to form. What if humans were not defenseless? What if they had never been? The panic did not begin with an explosion or a battle. It began with numbers. Trade forecasts across multiple sectors stopped making sense. Supply routes shifted without cause. Markets reacted before leaders did. Systems once stable became unpredictable. Analysts blamed piracy, then automation errors, then bad models. None of the explanations held. The disruptions followed human movement too closely to ignore, yet no rule had been broken. Minor powers were the first to worry. Their margins were thin, their defenses weaker. They noticed that whenever human ships passed through a region, conflicts paused. Pirate signals vanished. Border skirmishes cooled. It was as if something invisible pressed down on chaos and forced it into stillness. Traders whispered that human convoys carried a kind of silence with them. The Varkesh Dominion felt the change more sharply. Their outer sectors grew quiet, then tense. Patrols reported empty space where traffic should be. Listening posts picked up echoes that resolved into nothing. Command ordered readiness drills, but morale slipped. Fear without a target was harder to manage than open war. A senior Dominion analyst compared current data to the outpost incident. He overlaid timelines, movement logs, and system failures. A pattern emerged, clean and unsettling. Humans never acted directly. They arrived before disruption and left after stability returned. The analyst sent his findings to High Command with a simple note. "We are being shaped." The message was not suppressed this time. Too many similar reports existed. Dominion Command convened a closed session. For the first time, humanity was discussed as a potential strategic factor. Not an enemy. Not an ally. Something else. Unknown. Elsewhere, the Galactic Council received requests from smaller members asking for clarification on human status. Were they protected? Were they monitored? The Council had no answers. Their archives still showed humanity as a minor trade species. Updating the classification required evidence. Evidence required investigation. No one volunteered to lead it. The ancient delegate finally acted without permission. He activated a relic system tied to his people's earliest days in space. It scanned not for ships or weapons, but for structural anomalies in reality itself. The system returned a result almost immediately. Multiple layers. Deep. Artificial. Human in origin. The delegate felt a chill. These were not recent constructions. They were old. Older than several council species. Humanity had not wandered into the galaxy unprepared. They had waited. On a human command node, alerts flickered. The relic scan had been noticed. Not blocked. Not erased. Logged. A commander reviewed the data and nodded. "They are waking up." Another replied, "We continue restraint." In the Varkesh Dominion, a border station lost power entirely. No backup engaged. No distress call sent. When systems returned hours later, logs showed nothing. Crews reported a sensation of weight, as if space itself had pressed inward. The station commander requested immediate reinforcement. The request was granted. Fleets moved. As Dominion ships approached, they found the station intact and calm. Human vessels were present, docked legally, trading. The commander demanded explanations. The humans answered politely. "Routine delay," they said. Nothing more. The Dominion ships withdrew, uncertain and unsettled. Across the galaxy, old data began resurfacing. Archaeologists found records of a species that matched early human profiles, appearing briefly in ancient conflicts and then vanishing. The records had always been dismissed as errors. Now they felt like warnings. The Council could no longer ignore the pressure. An emergency session was called, quietly, without public broadcast. Humanity was added to the agenda. The debate was tense. Some argued caution. Others argued irrelevance. The ancient delegate spoke last. "They are not rising," he said. "They have always been here." The room fell silent. Meanwhile, human networks updated their internal models. Fear indices were rising. Curiosity had replaced dismissal. This was the turning point humans had planned for. Not when the galaxy attacked, but when it questioned. A message circulated through hidden channels. Condition shift detected. Prepare next phase. The reply came from multiple sectors. Acknowledged. Far from council space, vast human installations adjusted their orientation. Power flowed, carefully limited. Nothing visible changed. Yet the balance of the galaxy tilted slightly, like a scale finally feeling weight it had ignored. The panic spread quietly, as all deep fears do. No alarms sounded. No fleets clashed. But across command rooms and council halls, one thought echoed again and again. What had humanity been doing all this time, and why were they only now beginning to notice? Humanity's history was a carefully guarded secret, buried beneath layers of record and silence. Long before they wandered into the galaxy, humans had fought themselves. Entire civilizations had risen and fallen, each stronger than the last, only to be destroyed by their own mistakes. Wars had consumed planets. Famine had destroyed empires. Disease had wiped out millions. Through it all, humans learned patience. They learned to wait, to observe, and to hide their true power until the moment it could no longer be ignored. On a remote human command station, senior leaders gathered around a large holomap. It showed sectors of the galaxy, fleets of various species, and patterns of movement. One officer spoke, "They believe we are weak because we let them see only shadows." Another nodded, "Every mistake they make, every insult, every delay, is data. We never forget." The leader of the council remained silent, staring at the stars projected across the table. "Patience is our greatest weapon," he finally said. Humans had learned that showing strength too early only united enemies. Every empire, every alliance, every ambitious species in the galaxy feared power they could not understand. If humanity revealed itself too soon, the galaxy would come together to destroy them before they could act. Silence was not fear. Silence was strategy. The Varkesh Dominion had not understood. They had thought that the attack on the outpost would provoke retaliation. It did not. Humans had observed, measured, and catalogued everything, but they had not answered with force. That restraint was now being felt across the galaxy. Small disturbances shifted away from human routes. Pirate activity declined near trade lanes. Supply chains adjusted without orders. Humans had learned to bend events without moving a ship. A young analyst in the Dominion noted these changes and tried to report them. "They are influencing outcomes without direct contact," he wrote. His superiors dismissed the claim. "Coincidence," they said. "Humans are insignificant." They ignored the warning, as all powers do when comfort rules. But humans were always patient. They observed how each empire reacted to minor provocations. They noted how the council ignored warnings and how the Varkesh Dominion overstepped. Every insult, every attempt at domination, every small test was recorded and stored. Human memory was not like others. It was precise. It was relentless. Back on Earth, long-range networks analyzed centuries of galactic activity. One officer pointed out, "They do not realize the patterns we have set in motion. They are blind to the consequences of their own arrogance." Another added, "By the time they notice, it will be too late." Human command was calm. There was no anger. There was only calculation. In distant sectors, ancient systems once thought dormant began to stir. Human fleets that had remained hidden for centuries powered on quietly, aligning in ways that were legal, non-threatening, and invisible to most sensors. These fleets were not meant to attack yet. They were meant to observe, to teach the galaxy that patience could be as powerful as fire. The ancient delegate at the council sensed the shift before anyone else. He compared old records with current human activity. Patterns emerged that should not have been possible. Humans had survived when entire species had fallen. They had rebuilt faster than any empire had ever managed. "They are not newcomers," he warned quietly. "They are survivors." Meanwhile, human diplomats continued their calm and polite engagement. They attended trade meetings, observed debates, and smiled politely when insulted. To outsiders, it seemed as though humans were still weak, still passive. But each word, each gesture, each polite acknowledgement carried a weight measured in centuries of preparation. The Varkesh Dominion attempted another show of strength. A convoy was delayed. A message was sent demanding compliance. Humans responded as always, calmly, respectfully, without threat. And yet, every movement, every delay, every hesitation by the Dominion was noted. It was stored. It was analyzed. The response would come when the galaxy was finally ready to understand. In hidden command nodes across human space, leaders reviewed centuries of plans. Simulations of galactic responses ran continuously. Every possible outcome was tested, every empire's reaction calculated. The galaxy believed it was unpredictable. Humans knew better. They had waited for this moment for generations. A young officer asked, "Why wait so long?" The commander smiled faintly. "Because power shown too early is power wasted. They must believe we are weak. They must make mistakes. They must reveal themselves." The officer nodded, understanding at last. Humanity had endured millennia of self-destruction to perfect restraint. Every human now alive carried the knowledge of that history. Far beyond known space, the galaxy continued to ignore humanity. Ships moved. Fleets clashed elsewhere. Empires squabbled. The council debated minor disputes. All the while, humans watched, silent and unseen. Each empire's hubris, each alliance's arrogance, each species' assumption of dominance was catalogued. The leaders on Earth discussed the final stage of their long plan. "The galaxy will only learn through consequence," said one. "It will only understand when restraint is no longer necessary." Another officer nodded. "Then it will be too late for them to ignore us." And so humanity remained quiet, patient, and unseen. The galaxy thought it had ignored a minor species. In truth, humans had waited, and that waiting had made them stronger than any empire could imagine. They had learned the cost of arrogance, the price of impatience, and the power of silence. When the time came, the galaxy would finally see the truth. Humanity was not weak. Humanity had never been weak. The galaxy expected war to follow the attack on the outpost, but humans had a different plan. The first fleets of the Varkesh Dominion prepared for conflict, assuming that humanity would finally fight back. Their ships were powerful, their weapons deadly, and their confidence high. They believed that battle would be long, bloody, and decisive. Humans did not react. They waited. The silence of human fleets unnerved even the most seasoned commanders. When the Dominion fleet reached a system near a human trade route, they found nothing unusual. No fleets in formation. No weapons deployed. Only quiet signals of civilian traffic. Dominion scanners detected human ships moving slowly, methodically, obeying all laws and protocols. To the Dominion, this confirmed their belief. Humans were still weak, still cautious, still harmless. Then the first failure occurred. Targeting systems misaligned. Energy weapons charged incorrectly. Shield calculations faltered. Small errors appeared first, then larger ones. Dominion officers recalibrated constantly, but each adjustment seemed to worsen the problem. The fleets began to drift slightly off course. Communication relays cracked with static. No one could explain it. Human ships remained perfectly aligned and unaffected. The Dominion commander ordered a strike. A single volley of missiles fired at a human convoy. For a moment, the missiles traveled toward their targets, then vanished mid-flight. Sensors showed no interception. No energy absorption. Nothing. The missiles simply ceased to exist. The Dominion fleet hesitated. Was this technology? Sabotage? Magic? None of their analysts could explain it. Meanwhile, human fleets advanced slowly, as if curious. They did not attack. They simply moved forward. Dominion ships tracked them, attempting to prepare, to react, but every maneuver they tried failed. Engines misfired. Weapon systems failed intermittently. Artificial gravity shifted unpredictably. Officers grew anxious. Fear spread quietly through the fleet, unseen by the galaxy at large. Small skirmishes erupted elsewhere, but every time human ships appeared, conflicts paused. Pirates fled before encounters. Border disputes cooled. Trade convoys reached their destinations without interference. The humans did not fire a shot. They did not threaten. They only moved. Yet in every sector they passed, the pattern of control became visible. It was subtle but undeniable. Humans could bend outcomes without violence. A Dominion warship tried to ram a human vessel to provoke a response. The human ship moved aside with impossible precision, as if reading the Dominion's intentions before they happened. Missiles that should have struck were deflected harmlessly by unseen forces. Dominion crews began whispering about ghost fleets, invisible hands, and ancient powers. Superiors dismissed the claims, but doubt had already taken root. In council chambers, the ancient delegate watched reports of the Dominion's failures. He spoke quietly to no one in particular. "They are not fighting. They are teaching." Other council members ignored him. Humans had yet to declare themselves openly, so the galaxy still believed the incidents were anomalies. As the Dominion fleet panicked, human ships suddenly disappeared. No jump signatures. No energy spikes. Just empty space where hundreds of vessels had been moments before. Dominion sensors registered a brief pattern. Calculation grids, energy fluctuations, and then nothing. The fleet was left shaken but intact. No one could explain what had occurred. Back on human command nodes, reports arrived from multiple sectors. Every engagement, every fleet movement, every system failure had been catalogued and analyzed. Humans reviewed the data calmly. No lives had been lost. No attacks had occurred. It had all been a demonstration, controlled and precise. One officer commented, "They believe they are attacking. They are learning. That is enough." The Varkesh Dominion withdrew, claiming mission accomplished. Privately, commanders argued, protested, and tried to understand the anomalies. Each attempt failed. Engineers could not reproduce the malfunctions. Analysts could not trace the energy fluctuations. Pilots swore they had seen ships vanish and reappear. No one believed them fully, but doubt had taken root. The galaxy watched quietly, still assuming humans were passive. Trade resumed. Borders were enforced. Patrols continued. Yet every empire, every fleet, every officer who had encountered humans carried a seed of fear they could not name. They had glimpsed power without combat. They had seen restraint used as a weapon. On Earth, senior commanders reviewed the Dominion's retreat. They smiled quietly, understanding that restraint had been more effective than war. Protocol Dawn had achieved its goal. The galaxy's strongest fleets had tested human patience and had been reminded that humans were not what they seemed. In hidden sectors, humans repositioned their fleets slightly. Not aggressively. Not offensively. Just enough to maintain readiness. Systems were checked, crews trained, and contingencies updated. No one outside human space noticed, but every movement was measured to influence the galaxy subtly. The galaxy would never be the same. Not yet openly, but internally, every empire now faced a new reality. Humans were not weak. Humans did not need to fight to dominate. And the lesson was only beginning. The council convened quietly, without announcement, to discuss the events unfolding near human space. For the first time, humanity was not ignored. Reports from the Varkesh Dominion and other minor empires painted a confusing picture. Human fleets moved without aggression, yet every system they touched shifted in subtle, unexplainable ways. Trade routes cleared. Border disputes paused. Pirate attacks vanished. The council struggled to understand. How could a species so small, so quiet, wield such influence without combat? Delegates argued. Some said caution. Humanity was clearly powerful, but restrained. Others insisted that no one could predict their next move, making them dangerous. The ancient delegate spoke last. His voice was low, measured, but carried weight. They do not act out of anger. They act out of patience. This is deliberate. Humanity is not new. They have watched, waited, and learned. We are only now seeing the surface of their power. Meanwhile, humans continued their silent observation. Fleets moved across sectors, always legal, always unthreatening. They monitored council responses, minor empire adjustments, and Dominion hesitations. Every action, every choice, every misstep was recorded. Humans were patient. They did not need confrontation to influence outcomes. In Dominion space, Officers whispered about ghost fleets and unseen manipulation. Communications were delayed inexplicably. Energy grids shifted for no reason. Dominion ships experienced systems failures too precise to be accidents. The more they tried to understand, the more confused they became. No human ship fired a shot, yet fear grew steadily in the hearts of commanders. On a distant human world, commanders reviewed the latest data. "They finally recognize us," one said. Another nodded. "Recognition without confrontation is perfect. They beg for guidance without knowing it." A third added, "Patience has brought them to this moment. We do not strike, we teach." The Council attempted diplomacy. Messages were sent to humanity, requesting clarification, negotiation, and transparency. Humans replied with calm politeness. "We seek understanding," the messages said. "We do not interfere unless necessary." The tone was careful, non-threatening, yet carried authority. Every council member reading the message felt its weight. Simultaneously, smaller powers began to act. Minor empires sent envoys, seeking treaties, offering trade, or requesting protection. Humans accepted politely, quietly, always observing. No empire was granted special favor. No threat was imposed. Yet each empire left these encounters aware that humans were not merely observers, they were arbiters of consequence. The Varkesh Dominion's commander convened a meeting with his fleet captains. He admitted fear, though none dared speak it aloud. "We have faced nothing," he said. "No attacks, no threats, yet our systems fail. Our calculations falter. Humanity moves like a shadow, and every shadow hides power." The captains nodded silently. They had seen it. They could not explain it. Back in council chambers, debates grew heated. Some delegates argued for preemptive action. Humanity was powerful, and restraint did not prevent them from striking later. Others warned that aggression would guarantee disaster. The ancient delegate remained silent for much of the debate, observing the younger species' reactions. When he finally spoke, the chamber fell still. "They do not need to strike. They control the galaxy without doing so. Your fear proves their strategy. You believe you are free, but every decision you make has already been accounted for." The Council quietly acknowledged the human fleet's positions. They observed each system as it had shifted under human influence. Minor conflicts were resolved without human weapons. Trade disputes balanced automatically. Each empire unknowingly adjusted its actions according to subtle human guidance. The galaxy was learning order without realizing it. In human command centers, analysts tracked the Council's every move. Algorithms predicted reactions, adjusted fleet positioning, and refined observation methods. Humans had no interest in open war. Their goal was simple: teach the galaxy the cost of arrogance. Every empire that had ignored them, insulted them, or tested them had now become part of a living experiment. A human commander commented quietly, "They beg for peace without realizing they already follow it." Another replied, "Every misstep is a lesson. Every arrogance is corrected without violence. The galaxy will remember restraint longer than fear." The Varkesh Dominion attempted to reclaim confidence by sending warships through disputed sectors. Humans allowed passage, observing all maneuvers. Systems malfunctioned intermittently. Communication delays appeared. Dominion captains whispered rumors of invisible interference. No one could prove it. Every attempt to dominate human space was quietly guided by human presence. The Council issued a final statement, carefully worded. Humanity was acknowledged as a significant factor in galactic affairs. No threat. No alliance. Just a species to watch. The statement satisfied no one, yet no one could argue. Observation alone proved the power of humans more effectively than words or fleets. Far beyond the Council, human fleets repositioned slightly. Not offensively. Not aggressively. Just enough to maintain readiness. Every movement was calculated to influence perception, to demonstrate control without violence. The galaxy was learning slowly that humans were not simply passive participants. They were arbiters of outcome. Finally, across all sectors, an unspoken realization settled. The Varkesh Dominion, minor empires, and even council members began to act with caution. Decisions were delayed, debates were longer, and movements more measured. Humans had not attacked, yet the galaxy operated under their influence. Restraint had proven more powerful than war. And in hidden human command centers, the leaders smiled quietly. They had not fought, they had not threatened, and yet the galaxy now recognized them. Humanity had taught the first lesson. Power was not measured in destruction, but in control, observation, and the patience to wait until the moment was right. The hidden attack began in silence. A minor alliance, jealous of human influence and fearful of their growing reputation, launched a covert strike against one of Earth's outer stations. The attack was designed to be swift, precise, and untraceable. Missiles were fired from jump points beyond detection. Saboteurs infiltrated communication networks. The galaxy was meant to witness human vulnerability, even for a moment. The humans on the station did not panic. Alarms sounded, but only for internal tracking. Crews moved with calm efficiency. Engineers monitored energy flows, shields, and structural integrity. They did not retaliate. No weapons fired. No warning signals broadcast. It was as if they were waiting for something beyond their sight, something the attackers could not anticipate. The saboteurs expected success. Their calculations were precise. Security protocols predicted minor resistance, sensors flagged human movement, and attack vectors were cleared. Yet within seconds, the entire assault began to fail. Missiles misfired mid-flight. Jump coordinates shifted unpredictably. Communications between attackers collapsed. Engineers on the attacking ships swore that their systems worked perfectly, yet nothing reached the station. Human observers noted every detail. Attack patterns. Timing discrepancies. Weak points in the Alliance's coordination. Every move was catalogued and analyzed. Yet, no human weapon was used. They had no desire for destruction. The lesson would be enough. Patience had always been humanity's ally, and restraint its sharpest tool. The Alliance fleets grew frustrated. They attempted a direct strike with larger ships, hoping that sheer firepower would succeed where precision failed. The moment their weapons discharged, reality itself seemed to shift. Energy beams veered off course. Shields adjusted independently, absorbing what should have been fatal strikes. Crews across the Alliance whispered about impossible engineering, some questioning the very laws of physics. Meanwhile, the human station transmitted a simple message across secure channels. Your attack has failed. No exposure. Lesson noted. Nothing more. The tone was neutral, calm, yet carried authority stronger than the loudest weapons volley. The message reached every attacking ship simultaneously, though the attackers could not trace its origin. Confusion spread. On the station, human leaders discussed the outcome. They expected fear, one said. They expected chaos. Another replied, we gave them neither. They will not forget this. The galaxy now understands that patience can be more lethal than aggression. The command team nodded. Every action had been observed, every weakness recorded, yet no blood had been shed. Far away, in council chambers, reports of the failed attack arrived piecemeal. Analysts argued over sensor data, over timing inconsistencies, over fleet anomalies. No one could explain why the Alliance's coordinated strike had collapsed. Every technical simulation failed to replicate the events. The galaxy began to whisper. Humans were more than they appeared. Within the attacking alliance, morale faltered. Commanders questioned their decisions. Pilots reported strange readings, shifts in gravity, electronic interference, communications lagging without cause. Engineers could find nothing wrong. The fleet retreated quietly, leaving the human station untouched. Their pride wounded, their fear growing, they reported to their superiors that the attack had succeeded in no measurable way. The council sent an envoy to investigate. They arrived days later, expecting to see damage, survivors, and some indication of human vulnerability. What they found was order. Comm crews performing routine operations, cargo manifest perfectly aligned, energy systems stable. Nothing seemed out of place. The envoy reported to the council, struggling to describe what they had seen. "No attack occurred," they said. "Yet the enemy fleet has withdrawn. Systems function normally, yet the galaxy knows fear." Human Command monitored the envoy's messages. A single note passed through their secure channels. Phase 3 complete. Visibility confirmed. Restraint maintained. No one outside human space could understand the depth of meaning in those words. Humans had not fought. Humans had not threatened. And yet, the galaxy had been reminded of their presence and power. In Dominion and minor powers, fleets paused in their maneuvers. Every alliance began reviewing strategies, adjusting patrols, delaying aggressive action. Humans had acted without violence, yet influence spread like a quiet wave. Commanders whispered about the impossibility of a species so restrained, so deliberate, and so prepared. Fear, subtle and pervasive, replaced arrogance. Back on Earth, senior leaders reviewed the mission logs. "No destruction," one said. "No retaliation," another replied, "and yet every empire now hesitates. That is the true measure of success." Across all human command centers, algorithms updated fleet readiness, communication protocols, and observation grids. Humans continued to observe the galaxy, ensuring that every movement and reaction was catalogued. The hidden attack had failed not because humans were defensive, but because they had always been prepared. Every potential strike had been anticipated. Every system monitored. Every misstep calculated. Humanity did not need to fight to dominate. They controlled the outcome through patience, observation, and precision. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would not soon forget. An entire fleet could attack with precision, yet the humans had remained calm, unthreatened, and untouchable. Every empire now understood something unspoken. Restraint could be more devastating than firepower. As the attacking forces withdrew, Human Command transmitted one final note through secure channels. "Peace is maintained. Lesson complete." Across the galaxy, commanders and leaders understood only part of the message. They knew the humans were not weak. They knew they had been measured and found lacking. And they feared what would come next, though they did not yet know when or how. Humanity had shown its true strength without firing a shot. The galaxy had begged for peace without realizing it was already following human design. Restraint had become their weapon. Observation had become their shield. And in that quiet, unspoken power, humanity had claimed control over the hearts and minds of every empire that dared to test them. The galaxy stirred with unease. Reports arrived from multiple sectors simultaneously. Fleets faltering without explanation, communication networks glitching, and minor alliances abandoning aggressive maneuvers. Each incident seemed isolated, yet patterns emerged too clearly to ignore. Humans had not fired a weapon, yet every empire felt the invisible weight of their presence. Fear spread quietly, like a shadow stretching across the stars. Within the Varkesh Dominion, officers whispered about anomalies that defied logic. Patrols that should have been routine reported sensor distortions. Missiles misfired. Engines fluctuated in power without cause. Commanders argued with engineers and analysts, seeking explanations that did not exist. They grew increasingly aware that the humans had observed, measured, and anticipated every action, yet without direct confrontation. On a human command node orbiting a distant star, leaders reviewed the reports carefully. "Phase 4 begins," one officer said. Another nodded. "Let them believe they are in control. That will make the lesson deeper." Commands flowed through hidden channels, adjusting fleet positions and observation patterns. No human ship moved aggressively. No weapon fired. The galaxy would learn without realizing it was being taught. The council convened quietly to discuss the situation. Delegates argued over interpretations, over whether humanity was a threat, an ally, or something else entirely. Some insisted on caution, warning that humans could strike at any moment. Others believed the incidents were anomalies, technical errors, or coincidence. The ancient delegate remained silent, observing younger species' reactions. When he finally spoke, his words carried a chilling weight. "They do not strike because they choose not to. Your fear proves their control. You act under observation whether you know it or not." Minor empires began sending envoys and requesting treaties, trade agreements, and assurances of safety. Humans received each request with calm courtesy, offering fair terms, observing without judgment. Every alliance left with the realization that humans were neither weak nor aggressive, yet subtly in control of outcomes. Those who had once insulted or underestimated humanity began to reconsider past actions, quietly, privately, in fear that their previous arrogance had been noted and measured. In Dominion space, a young officer compiled historical records, comparing every fleet engagement and human movement over decades. A pattern emerged, precise and undeniable. Humans had survived where countless species had fallen. They had rebuilt faster than any empire could imagine. Every miscalculation, every insult, every delay by other species had been recorded, analyzed, and stored. The officer attempted to report his findings, but his superiors dismissed him, unwilling to confront the implications. Meanwhile, human fleets adjusted their positions subtly. Not offensively, not threateningly, just enough to maintain visibility and influence. Minor conflicts paused when humans entered nearby space. Trade convoys moved unimpeded. Disputes resolved themselves quietly. Humans acted like a gentle tide, unnoticed in its strength, shaping the galaxy without combat. A Dominion fleet attempted a minor show of force, sending ships through a sector near a human trade route. The fleet experienced system malfunctions, communications lagged, and targeting arrays failed intermittently. Commanders panicked silently. Missiles failed, engines misfired, and shields fluctuated unpredictably. Observers outside human space could detect nothing unusual. Humans did not interfere. They simply moved, and the consequences followed. Council chambers debated whether to formally recognize humanity's growing influence. Delegates argued, some for caution, others for engagement. The ancient delegate reminded them quietly, they do not declare, they do not threaten, and yet every action you take is observed. Your arrogance has been measured, your mistakes catalogued. His warning went largely unheeded. Humanity had already accounted for it. In hidden command nodes, humans reviewed the outcomes. They believe we are passive, one officer remarked. They mistake restraint for weakness. Another responded, let them. Every mistake they make is a lesson learned. Every arrogance recorded. Every hesitation a step closer to understanding. Human fleets remained calm, quiet, and disciplined. They had no desire to strike. Their power lay in observation, patience, and precise influence. An envoy from a minor empire visited a human station, hoping to negotiate a treaty. The humans received them politely, offering fair terms, observing reactions, noting hesitation, and cataloging every gesture, word, and pause. The envoy left feeling uneasy. Something unspoken had shifted. Humanity had not threatened. Humanity had not coerced. Yet every decision the envoy made afterward was subtly guided by fear and awareness. The Varkesh Dominion attempted another minor incursion near human space. Once again, systems failed unpredictably, weapons misfired, and navigation arrays struggled to maintain course. Dominion commanders began to whisper among themselves, acknowledging a power they could not define. Fear had replaced confidence. Discipline had replaced arrogance. And still, humans did not strike. Back in council chambers, delegates struggled to agree on a unified response. Humanity's influence was undeniable, yet its nature remained mysterious. Some suggested preemptive measures. Others argued that aggression would only confirm human control. The ancient delegate remained silent, observing as the younger species debated endlessly, unaware that every misstep, every misjudgment, had already been noted and stored by human observers. On Earth, senior commanders reviewed the latest events. Phase 4 complete, one said. Another added, the galaxy acts under our observation. We need only wait. Fleet positions were adjusted slightly, observation grids updated, and hidden systems powered on. No weapon was fired. No alliance was pressured. The galaxy moved in fear of invisible influence, and humans had achieved total control without aggression. And so the galaxy operated in quiet tension. Every empire, every fleet, every council member had begun to act with caution. Decisions were delayed. Movements measured. Diplomacy extended. Humans had demonstrated that restraint, observation, and patience could be more powerful than any weapon. The lesson was clear. The sleeping superpower had awakened, and the galaxy had already begun to bend to its will without knowing it. The galaxy held its breath. Humanity had never declared war, never raised a weapon, yet every empire, every fleet, and every council member felt the weight of their presence. Minor powers whispered of impossible events, fleets malfunctioning, communications failing, trade routes clearing without intervention. Major empires quietly reviewed their strategies, unsure of what to expect. Even the Varkesh Dominion hesitated where confidence had once ruled. Humans had shown the power of patience, observation, and restraint, and the galaxy was beginning to understand the cost of arrogance. On Earth, human commanders reviewed the latest data. Phase 5 begins, one officer said quietly. Another nodded. Let the galaxy act under observation. Every mistake they make strengthens our understanding. We do not need to fight to dominate. Fleet positions were adjusted subtly. Observation nodes activated. No weapons fired. No fleets engaged. Humans remained calm, patient, and disciplined. Every empire's actions were now part of a living experiment. The council convened urgently, though without public announcement. Delegates argued endlessly over how to respond. Some demanded preemptive action, warning that humanity's restraint could not last forever. Others urged caution, noting that aggression might provoke consequences beyond comprehension. The ancient delegate spoke last. His voice was steady and chilling. They do not strike. They do not threaten. Yet every empire acts under their observation. You believe yourselves free, but your decisions are already catalogued, measured, and stored. Your arrogance is part of their lesson. Across the galaxy, fleets hesitated. Patrols paused. Trade convoys rerouted. Minor conflicts cooled without explanation. Pirates avoided sectors where humans traveled. Every empire, unknowingly, had adjusted its behavior. Humans had not intervened directly, yet the influence was undeniable. Observation alone had shaped the galaxy. In Dominion space, commanders struggled to maintain confidence. Fleet maneuvers faltered, weapon systems failed intermittently, and communications glitched. No human ship had fired a shot. No visible intervention had occurred. Yet the Dominion felt helpless. Every strategic calculation they attempted seemed predicted and countered by unseen forces. Fear, subtle but pervasive, spread quietly among officers. A human observation node received reports from multiple sectors. Every empire, every fleet, every council member had made decisions under human influence without realizing it. Patterns of arrogance, hesitation, and miscalculation had been recorded. Algorithms analyzed behavior, predicting future responses. Humanity did not strike, but every empire now acted as if they were already in control of human strategy. The minor alliance that had attempted the hidden attack months before still reeled from failure. Their fleets had withdrawn. Their systems had faltered. Their confidence had been shattered without a single human weapon fired. Commanders privately admitted that they had underestimated a species that appeared weak, polite, and unassuming. They had learned the cost of arrogance the hard way. On a hidden human command station, senior leaders gathered. Phase 6 is preparation, one said. The galaxy has learned restraint. Every empire acts with caution. Patience has won before a single shot was fired. Another officer added, "We remain calm. Observation is our shield. Restraint is our sword." The commanders nodded. Every action was deliberate, measured, and precise. Humans had mastered the art of power without aggression. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, minor empires continued to send envoys, hoping to negotiate treaties or gain favor. Humans received each request with courtesy and calm observation. No empire was given undue advantage. No alliance coerced. Every interaction subtly reminded others that humanity was patient, precise, and always watching. Every decision made by outsiders reinforced the lesson humans had quietly imposed. arrogance was costly, restraint was deadly, and observation was power. The Varkesh Dominion attempted another demonstration of strength, sending fleets through contested sectors near human trade routes. Systems failed. Targeting arrays misaligned. Communication relays faltered. Dominion commanders panicked silently. Missiles misfired. Engines sputtered. Every measure of control slipped just enough to remind them that humans were watching. And still, no human ship moved aggressively. No weapons fired. Humans had made the galaxy bend without confrontation. Council chambers debated in vain. Humanity's influence was undeniable, yet its methods remained a mystery. Delegates argued whether to formalize recognition or take preemptive measures. The ancient delegate listened silently, knowing that humans had already accounted for every outcome, every debate, every argument. "You act under observation," he finally said. "Every hesitation, every arrogance, every plan you make has been measured. Humanity does not need to strike to command. They only wait, and you respond without knowing it." Across hidden nodes, humans adjusted fleet positions slightly. Observation grids updated. Algorithms refined predictive models. Systems were ready for any unforeseen action, though none was expected. Humanity's strategy remained unchanged: restraint, observation, and quiet dominance. The galaxy now operated under their influence without realizing it. Every empire's hesitation, every minor adjustment, every careful maneuver was part of the lesson. Finally, the galaxy began to acknowledge humanity, quietly and reluctantly. Trade adjusted, conflicts paused, and alliances reconsidered. The Council recognized that the sleeping superpower had awakened, though no one fully understood its methods. Humanity had demonstrated that power was not measured by destruction, but by patience, precision, and the ability to bend outcomes without direct intervention. On Earth, senior commanders reflected on the culmination of their centuries-long plan. "The galaxy has learned," one said. Another added, "They act with caution because we have shown them restraint. Power displayed through patience is stronger than any weapon." Fleet positions remained calm, observation nodes active. Humans had achieved total control without aggression, and the galaxy had unknowingly submitted to their influence. The final report circulated quietly: no human casualties, no fleets lost, no battles fought. And yet, the entire galaxy had been reminded of their true strength. Empires, alliances, and councils now acted carefully, their decisions influenced by a species they had long underestimated. Humanity had arrived in the galaxy unnoticed, measured every action, catalogued every mistake, and taught a lesson more powerful than any fleet or weapon. The galaxy believed it had tested a minor species. In truth, humanity had tested the galaxy, and it had passed under their watchful, patient, and unyielding control. The sleeping superpower had awakened, not with fire, but with observation, restraint, and calculation. And the galaxy would never be the same again.